What's the deal, baby? From the most all the way to the Cowboys from H-Town, baby.
You in the mix, it's the Sports Fix, it's your boy Victor Maestro, and I'm back with the first episode of the Unsung Black Heroes. Y'all, everybody knows me, knows it's a deal to me. So without further ado, man, we're gonna jump right into it. The first person that we're gonna cover is Moses Fleetwood Walker. Mr. Walker was born October 7, 1857 in Mount Pleasant, Ohio. He was the fifth of 6 children. I know at this point, you're probably trying to figure out what's the significance of this guy, but to understand the significance of Mr. Walker, you have to go, let's get in the time machine and let's go back and let's talk about Jackie Robinson. I know a lot of you know Jackie Robinson, number 42. He's known worldwide. I think everybody knows him as being the first person to break the color barrier. And for the further investigation, we find out that's not true. Because not only was it broken once, but it's broken twice, 3 times before he ever graced the field. And here we're not trying to take nothing away from his accomplishment. We're just providing facts. Because the first person to ever break the color barrier was William Edward White. Now I wonder why he wasn't mentioned, because he was a wine dinner. And I know you're probably wondering too. Well, the reason why he wasn't mentioned was because he didn't identify with being black. See, Mr. White was a light-skinned fella, so he just used that to his benefit and followed suit. Well, Mr. Walker, and he wasn't. He was more real about his blackness. He accepted what came with it, so, you know, he became an outcast. But Mr. White broke the color barrier May 1st, 1884, like 63 years before Jackie Robinson's feat. So now let's get back into Mr. Walker, because see, when Mr. Walker opened the door, he opened the door not just for himself, but his brother, because later on in that same year, his brother, Weedy, also became a professional athlete. And man, if you just really just break down Moses Fleetwood Walker's accomplishment, man, they're nothing short of amazing, especially in the era. We're talking about the 1800s. This is like post-slavery, so it's like, it's not cool to be a black man this time. And we got to analyze the situation a little further, because the man played in only 42 games. He scored 23 runs and had a batting average of 263 as a catcher. And let's just dive in a little further, because you don't think that's impressive? Well, how about this? How about if you're going on the road or even at home, you're getting booed, you're getting death threats, you're getting stuff thrown at you, and you're getting all these things, and you're still producing. Oh, that's not impressive enough? Well, how about this? What if your own teammates said that they liked you, but they didn't like black people, but your skill was exceptional, but due to the fact of your skin color, they didn't want to deal with you. So the pitcher, he would throw past him, which led him to get a lot of blow-bys and a lot of injuries. And we'll get back to injuries too, because another problem was his peers, because everybody wasn't just so accepting of Mr. Walker. Speaking of not accepting, you got to get into Mr. Adrian Cap Anderson of the White Stockings, who are now the Chicago Cubs, and who was introduced in the Hall of Fame in 1939. On August 10th, 1883, he refused to play in the Major League game against the minor league Toledo Blue Stockings. Of course, he didn't follow through, because, you know, he would lose pay if he sick. But that didn't shut him up, man, because he continued to push for blacks to be excluded in the MLB. And a lot of teams' own racial belief added into the acceptance of this. So I think what we saw was the grand notion was on July 14th, 1887, against the Newark Little Giants, Anderson refused to play if George Stovey, a prominent black pitcher at the time, took the mound. I guess Anderson's threats kind of, they did what they were supposed to do, because Mr. Stovey was scratched from that game. So it's sad to say that when he didn't have to deal, with bad from, just period, you got to get it from your peers, the game, and just everybody. So, and then just think about it, he accomplished what he accomplished in so few games. So if he had more, man, we might have been talking about a Hall of Fame career here, which it should be. But sadly, his career was derailed by injuries, most of them caused by his own teammates. So when he, and it was noted that he was said, like, when he wasn't too banged up on days, or he was too banged up to play catcher, they had to put him in the outfield. So not even his team cared. So it would be injuries that untimely ended his career. Well, he didn't know this because when he was going through rehab and making his comeback process, in 1889, the MLB unofficially banned blacks from playing Major League Baseball. So they say when it rains, it pours, and unfortunately his private life took a turn for the worse in April of 1891. In an act of self-defense, he stabbed and killed a man by the name of Patrick Murray. He was convicted. He was not convicted. He was charged with second-degree murder and later was acquitted by 12. But the toll and effects of the trial took a toll on him, and some things you just can't reverse. So it led to like a conflict in his race relations because he was once an open person, but then he became more secluded, and he became what most people would say angry. In 1908, Walker published a book titled Our Home Colony. His main argument in the book was that whites and blacks could never coexist peacefully in America, and these views no doubt alienated him. Despite the immense coverage he illustrated in doing what he did, what no African American had done before, during a time in America when it wasn't cool to be black. You know what I'm saying? There were threats on his life. His action was not celebrated. It was more like they tried to cover it up instead of anything. So it seems like, to me, it's like American history is trying to do as much they can to diminish him instead of giving this man his card. Which brings us back to Jackie Robinson. Mr. Robinson was definitely courageous. You know what I'm saying? It takes something to go out there and take all the things he took. Y'all saw the movie. Take what he took and continue to keep playing what he played, because no man should be denied what he loves to do as far as playing sports because of your skin color. So we here at the Sports Fix, man, we prolific, so we like to put things in their proper perspective. So that's what we doing. Because Lost in the Annuals is the history of a man who overcame the ugly racial divide of the post-Civil War era and helped integrate a sport known as America's pastime. So he just was a special man, and here at the Sports Fix, we salute Mr. Walker, because without him, without his courageous, without him being a stand-up guy, no athlete would be able to cross the threshold. Because if you look at the scouting report on us, it's always been we're not strong enough, and mentally we're not strong enough. But throughout the test of time and throughout the series, we're gonna bring enlightenment to more people, not just men, but all people of color, not just blacks, because it could be Latins, it could be all men of color, because we all have something to contribute. I'm your boy Victor Maestro. This has been another exciting episode of the Sports Fix. I hope you tune in, because later on during the week we'll be dropping our expert analysis on the playoffs. Tune in. Everybody watch this. I pray for peace and prosperity.